It is
countdown that what we're supposed to do anyway.
Yeah, it did.
Did the number show up on
1, 2,
yours?
3, 4.
I seen 5 on mine, and that was it.
Yeah.
What's that?
No.
All right, well, apparently we're live. So, what's up, everybody? This is On the Backcast Reacts. We're going to take a look at some past shows, DCI and WGI and Waves and Japan Elementaries and all types of stuff. Listen, we can find some of that stuff. I'm telling you, it's out there. I used to watch it all the time. But yeah, so we're going to do a quick react video to some of our favorite shows from the past.
Yeah.
And Zach has the one for
we are watching
particular episode.
The 2015 Bluecoats with Kinetic Noise.
Good one.
One of my favorite shows ever.
Sorry, I just had to get that in real quick.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. It's like something's wrong with your microphone.
I've practiced it so long.
Sample Chris doing that very sound.
But no, this is one of my favorite shows of theirs, and that it was part of the 3 or 4 year stretch that pushed them to that gold medal. Also, some of my favorite uniforms in DCI. I love that look, and just
it was.
I believe that was the last year they besides the Bluecoats show. That was the last
I tried to talk my director into buying those when we got new uniforms for our program, but I digress. We did not get them. Instead, we look like Blue Devils. So, I mean, that's fine. No, but yeah, just so innovative, so ahead of its time, and there are so many elements from this show that you can pick out and pull in their show from this season and the year before that. I think every year is a trial run for the next season for them and what they're wanting to try and accomplish. Mm-hmm.
For sure. I think we alluded to that in one of our podcasts. It's like they learn from every year of how they can continue to push the envelope with show design and soundscape. So, like you said, this show kind of was like the pedestal, or maybe not even pedestal. This was the catapult.
This was the sound revolution right here.
This is a world championship.
This is what it was. Yeah. It changed everything as far as you think about sound on the field. It's this show right here.
Yeah, all 104 speakers they got on the field. It's like, God, dog sound system.
Yep. So a lot of the stuff that we're seeing in here now, they set the stage for it. People still trying to figure out the best way to do it, and they were one of the best to do it. So happy about that. So give it a countdown, and then I'll say 1, 2, 3, press, and then we'll go. So, and guys, if you want to follow along, we'll try to put the link up at some point in the right corner, so you can watch along with us. So. Here you go. 3, 2, 1, press.
Still makes me laugh how small the stack is on the front sideline.
Drum Major Willie Veenstra, is your car ready?
All the uniforms.
Sexy.
Hey, just throw it down.
He knew. He knew.
Hey, there we go, right there. That's right there.
Yeah.
No, okay.
One of the best conductors.
No, it's not us. I don't know. I can't remember.
It might have been the year we were on the roof.
Where did we sit that year? I know the tilt year was set. No, that was the tilt year.
Yeah, I think I nailed that.
I always thought it sounded like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Picked a peck. Like they probably literally did that and then reverbed it and reversed it.
I think tilt.
Now, was this the first year they used a different voice to announce?
Not 100% on that thing. I'll never forget watching that video of the guy in the front ensemble with the rolling pad. doing all the mixing. Had to play at exactly 180 BPM for this to work.
I mean,
Right?
talking about having
Yeah,
the
you're
music
literally taking two
personify what the
polar
title of the
opposite
show is.
concepts.
That's it. This,
Noise, something you can't see, and then the kinetic aspect.
Unreal, man. The whole thing is unreal.
And they could have left right then and been done.
This would have been a year to March.
They do, especially this year, they do such a good job of like lulling you to sleep but keeping your attention, and then they just smack you. I don't know how to describe it. Right.
Okay, circle rotations.
All right, baseline, calm down.
Oh, they ain't even started.
We'll say we've talked about
They
this a
still
lot. I
playing
think
warm-ups.
probably one of the best contra lines in DCI.
Oh, the best.
Sure it
No,
is.
there's no question. No,
By far
probably.
my first pick.
like collapse is underrated.
Yeah.
I
They are
forgot
fine.
how much they
Like
moved.
this drum moves,
Like-
which goes along with the whole kinetic
Fair
part
part.
of it. Yeah.
Yes, squares, get it.
Oh, God. It's right here.
Oh, here he goes.
Come on, Contras.
Dude,
This.
It's
This
ridiculous.
is the line in the game.
They always do something that's just really, really brilliant.
Like, they've been done with that phrase for 32 counts, and you still hear them because they're just looping it.
Innovators of the electronic world,
yeah,
man.
this video does not do at all the justice that on the field what you hear, man. Gosh.
If you didn't get to look at this
hear it
live,
on
you
either
really
side.
missed it.
That's what I mean. They draw you in and kind of hypnotize you, lull you a little bit, and then it's just this full ensemble moment. Oh, and now we're really about to run.
Oh, I shout out to whoever designed that flag. 'Cause
Love it.
Them basses, get it
it's so good.
Get it
That's
out.
nuts,
So good.
man.
Love
That's
that.
nuts.
I'll never forget when we saw that in the premiere.
Oh, we freaked out, dude.
Like
I wonder if you come up with that after
you could.
you've already written the drill and put it on.
We need to give him a call. Make me our next interview. So, listeners out there, if you know somebody, send them our way. This ballad.
Said you guys did this ballad, didn't you?
It's elegant.
Yeah.
We did.
Talk about core strength right there.
Oh, here it goes.
So what's interesting is if you watch the people like in the back corner and the body they're doing, it is noise with their body. Like, I mean, like the show title, but like it just kind of has no pattern to it, but it fits. It's like visual noise.
We love that halftime and the double time or regular time there. So good.
We're talking about we're gonna plie. You're gonna be touching blades of grass.
Speed change.
All I know is if I'm in a tunnel waiting to come on, I'm nervous.
Right?
If I got to come after this, I ain't trying to come after this.
I'm not trying to go on after this.
I'm quitting that day.
Okay.
And this was third.
Yeah, right?
Outrageous, man.
Is this the same
This
year
right here,
that,
we're talking about.
Vanguard did?
This was the Inferno year.
Inferno year?
Yes. So we talk about this, the 2022 show with the narration and the snare solo. This is where that comes from. They did it this year. Was this the year that the kid on the end of the snare line was like 15, or was that Tilt?
I thought that was a BD kid.
Might have been Till.
No?
Listen to the basses in this.
That's fine.
The whole brass line ain't played for a minute, and you're gonna come in and smack us. Yep.
Yeah, they need it.
Get that chop break.
I can listen to Bluecoats play all day. Yeah. Get it.
You can see why I like doing their stuff so much. Just come in.
It's like that note in Downside Up where they just turn around and then turn right back around and keep going.
Did that lead in from the front ensemble into that whole section right there? Cool. So good.
mean, the flag choice right here makes so much sense.
That's hard. This whole
Don't
piece is
loop
hard.
this mess again.
Come on, Contras.
I forgot how good this show was.
Oh my gosh. It's so sick.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't no way, dude. Ain't no way.
Why?
No knock to no knock to any other group, but they still hold my favorite core who has the best transitions from tune to
So
tune.
good, man.
Just
So good.
I wish I could have came up with that.
How that show?
I don't either.
I swear that little girl ruined everything that night. She ruined everything that night. Jeez, man.
Yeah. I mean,
They did run across a buzzsaw.
and ink. It's not like it was just one of those. It was
So that
both.
was Inferno and Ink. And I think we've mentioned this before. At this point, I don't know what we've talked about and what we've talked about on the podcast. So, but, sometimes the championship show's a championship show because it happened the year that it happened. It's that show probably would have won the year before that.
That would have
Who
been
won that,
Fleeting-esque. I don't know if
Oh yeah.
And maybe, well, Fleeting yes is strong too, but man, it's always just a matter of, and if we got to be subjective for a little bit or objective for a little bit, like I said, I always get those two mixed up. Like, and I'm saying this as just like hyper super duper critical, like this much.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Visually, it was probably dirtier than Crown and BD from that year.
I would argue that it was more demanding.
But you're running
physically
around
than the
the
others.
field.
Just of how much.
Oh man, I don't know that that Inferno show. If I remember right, was
I'd have
pretty.
to march. I'd have to watch.
Yeah,
They did too.
It was pretty good. Like, we thought that was going to win
Yeah.
up until I wish.
Yeah.
that's the same year. I mentioned it in the reaction. Was that the same year that
But
Vanguard did
I
the
mean-
Tesla show?
Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah, I mean,
believe
look at that
so.
too.
Yeah. That's also the same year
Yes.
Cadets did Power of 10.
was that Sparking Vintage
Like,
year?
think about that show that year, man. That year is insane.
Yeah.
So it was a very...
Yeah. Power of 10 was
oh my
fourth
God.
that year.
So
God, that was like 7 years ago. I forgot how
all of those...
good that year was, man. Golly, that was such a good year.
Damn. Because I was showing my kids that... I showed them the Power of Spark of Invention because we're looking at doing a piece with a theremin for one of our concerts.
I will say that if we get back around to
so we
me
watched that show
for these reactions, that would be one of the shows that we would watch because that's the last year for me that Vanguard was the Vanguard that I know and love in my heart and the hearts. Like the crazy drill and all that stuff and yeah.
That's
Also,
a
Les Mis. Go.
We can get in that, but from a from a musical standpoint, like Those songs were perfect for that show. Like, perfect for that show. And, like, you got all these other groups that have used those songs. Like, you know, we mentioned, we used that ballad in one of our shows. But, like, they'll use those songs because they sound cool, but, like,
listen, that
I
show,
don't know what else you could have picked, you know, besides maybe some Philip Glass stuff.
like when I watch that show, like, their sound, dude, is so rich and dark and just chocolately velvet. Just want to wrap it around. Like, it's so just, I don't know what it is. I don't know how they arranged it. It just clicked.
But to me, that's just been Bluecoats.
I mean, yes, but like for some reason, like that show for me,
man.
like,
because
I don't know,
That's what I
that
was gonna
one
say.
in my head. I mean, it does sound like Bluecoats, but that one in my head just like sticks in, like it's different than all the rest. I don't know what it is, but
no, I feel you.
For Bluecoats, they are a jazz group too. It used to be there was a few groups that like that was what they would do. So you had them, you had Blue Devils, and you had Crossmen. They were the king of jazz. Madison would do Latin jazz or Latin. Cadets would do more Americana jazz, big band style. But like, so those chord structures that you like is how he builds their chords, lots of sevenths and ninths and things of that nature, to where, and then you have the best low sousaphone section in the world. You can do some really, really cool, authentic tone stuff, and they play so well in tune. Like, their suspension chords are something to behold. That's one reason why I like them so much, is because I was just like, because of that writing. Because I like to write thick. You know, I love, you know, we all love Carolina Crown, but people say it all the time. They have the best B flat chord in DCI. They just, their chord structure is not as complicated. And I'm not saying it's not complicated, but like, it's more room for error with the way the Bluecoats write their music book.
Dude, that pit book, I'm telling you,
we didn't even talk about how the pit book fits in with all that stuff.
If you catch a lot video and watch that front, watch the front in a lot video. I'm telling you, man.
I mean, it all works together the way that it should. You know, it's almost like one person wrote the whole thing, because, you know, that's hard to do just in general. Like, I mean, shout out to all the drum corps who have with separate battery writers and horn book, because you have to encompass your vision, but make sure it fits in with somebody else's vision, and that's hard.
Also,
to do.
I love to see. I was gonna say, I love to see, like,
you know, the Guardian.
That's the last time we see Bluecoats visually like that. Like, it's so crazy. Like, that next year, the transformation that happened from them, and then like they just went with it. Like, they revolutionized. Like that
2 years in a row. They changed the game for everybody.
Yes, they brought
whether they intended to or not.
Yep. I mean, it's insane, like, the trend setting that they did there.
Well, you got to think. You got to wonder, like, if they were, when they were coming up with the Downside Up show, you know, they were probably like, "Can we pull it off with that look?" And they said no, so they was like, "We got to take."
People hammered them for Kinetic Noise too.
And people hammered them.
Like, everyone was just like, "There's too much speaker stuff on the field," and actually changed. Like, if you watch the beginning show of the season, like, don't get me wrong, all shows changed throughout the season. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, the initial idea of that Kinetic Noise, there was way more sound coming out of those speakers and a lot more stuff popping here and there at the beginning of the year, and they got so much backlash. I am inferencing here. I don't know if this is actually what happened or not, but like, you see, like, it felt like they toned it down a whole lot more than what it was at the beginning of the year, because they got that the backlash. But like, as soon as that happened, what did you start seeing more groups do? You started seeing more. You had more stacks on the field. You had better sound systems. You had, a lot more going on there.
Well, everybody in their mom upgraded their sound equipment game.
So we can sound 10 times louder.
Like you can attest SEV did that. Like they came out with a huge brick block subwoofer cart and everything, and then they came out with a tower. Right before that, it was just a small, maybe 18-inch or something with maybe 2 stack monitor, and then it just flared out to every other group. Like now, people went from not just having 2 speakers to 4. Some groups have 6 to 8 up on the front sideline, and it's like the same group you criticized. Now you won't be alike. And that's what groups do every year. They talk
flattery,
about this,
right?
and then they say this. Yeah, they want to say this, and they want to think that.
Yep.
That's why I said, I'm curious because I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but I'm just curious to see who's going to try to be similar to what Boston's Battery was this year. Because I feel like a lot of groups are going to feel like we just got the go ahead. And then our groups are going to do that.
Because it didn't work out for
I
them.
don't think it's going to be as many as we think, because
are they going to look at what they did wrong and perfect it? Because we just got through talking about,
Well, here's the thing. The thing that they did wrong, and I even hate saying this like this, but the thing that they did wrong was the tenor line and the front book got to step up. But here's the thing: you can't step that front book up. That's the whole problem. I mean, we've talked about this with Crown. And I don't want to stick on Boston because it's what you're talking about, but there's only so much space.
No,
everybody can't have a blue million notes all the time. Crown will do it in spots. And it's some of their
when they're playing the
spots.
pit book.
And I remember this from the Relentless show towards the end and the whole core, even the color guard, I don't know how they're doing it, but I'm sure the color guard's doing it too, is playing this big long 16th note phrase.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm like, how long did that take to clean? But that took so much. Like, I don't think nobody will risk it. Because you can't. Unless you got a horn line that can do that.
It makes you wonder though. You got a lot of these groups that went for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Boston backed down a little bit on fuck it.
I think they would be smart because here's my thing. I think if they back down and they revamp a couple things and they balance a lot of stuff, you could be looking at the new winner for next year.
Depends on how much they lose, man. That's the big thing.
That's scary. Because they graduating, but they're losing a huge class. But I think a lot of groups look back and they're looking and seeing what folks did and tried and attempted. Maybe they were afraid to or didn't do this or didn't do that. And even if it's just not with the Barry, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of groups go way out the comfort zone.
I mean, I know this is a React video, but just that's something that, like, I think if you want to be top 12 going into next year, you're gonna have to. Like, it's going to either work out to where you're pushing that, or you're going to fall flat in your face, But I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a push from a couple of groups.
Mm-hmm.
Check out our regular podcast. We'll probably talk about that sometime in the coming weeks.
But no, and then I mean, we talked a lot about the music package, but the visual package worked well too. The color guard uniform, and that may be one reason why they stuck with the blue
that they have on the inside of the spheres
for one more year.
That bright yellow.
Because and that's a lot of people that don't realize how much thought goes behind
Yep.
like the color
That's
of
what I
the
said.
flag, the color of the uniform,
The color of the flag and that
prop,
is it the end of the opener?
the
there?
color of the field,
Just so
pink.
good. It was like a pinkish purple or whatever. Yeah, dude, that was
Another
a good
group.
selection for that.
Another group that I think always does a good job of like having that one bright or that one big color to accent everything is Blue Knights. Like when you look at even this past season, that pink that they had in the guard compared to the blue and the white, it pops, and that contrast is just huge. And I think they do a really good job about that as well.
Then you have Bluecoats this year. It looks like someone threw up on the field, and it just. But I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But
yeah, the color really palette was different.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be hard too. I attested to a lot of people who landscape their yard, because sometimes you can find some people's yard where they'll do just enough landscaping, put some bushes here, a couple of flower pots here, whatever, and it fits. But then you get that one yard where they just can't stop, and it looks good. It can look good, but it's a lot happening. I was like, and then you're like, who gonna maintenance all this? You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes when you design, you got to think like that, because you keep putting stuff out there.
That'd be interesting to see.
You got to keep adding stuff and
see where they go from here. You know what I mean? Like Bluecoats, like what are they? Always, I just want to know. But like, what's it going to be?
That same exact conversation happened when this show came out in 2015. Well, what are they going to do next? And here we are 7 years later, and it's a completely different league that they're in.
And it's weird because they would do something that's completely different but the same at the same time. It has that same feel, of Bluecoats, but it's not the same show. I can't exactly remember the order, but you had Tilt, and if you think about the color palettes too, that's the first bright. They brought out that bright orange, and then you had Kinetic Noise, and then you had Downside Up with the hot pink and the white uniform.
Yes.
And then after that was Jagged.
And they had some color pops in that too, like in the
black and white.
Like when they flashed the hats, they had color inside the hats and stuff like that. I don't remember a whole lot other from that, but
and all
purple and then yellow,
and then Jagged Line, and then Session 44, bright neon.
Orange,
and then Bluecoats with a lot of blue on the field, but then highlighted with orange. So like their color palette, while similar,
Lucy
really
had the same color palette as Kinetic Noise,
bringing different stuff out. And then honestly, and I feel like this past season too. I feel like Lucy. Now that I look back on Lucy, because I wasn't a huge fan of Lucy.
It's a trial run.
But I look back at Lucy and I was like, Lucy set this up.
I think that's one of the things I love about Bluecoats.
Set this up.
Is this will be my final comments? But one thing I like about Bluecoats is that their rise from where they were. They've had ups and downs, but they were kind of mid top 12, that kind of stuff. But like their big rise as they came through was because of innovation. Like they changed so much to the activity that now they're the ones that people look to. Like we're just saying, what's going to happen next? What are they going to do to keep pushing that envelope? I think that's what one of my favorite rises to the top that they have is that they've pushed it so much. Even you go all the way back to Tilt. I know exactly. Let's go back the year before that, but they even like that's where you start seeing the electronic stuff there. If we do a pitch bend, are people going to enjoy it? Are we going to just change something here and then Kinetic Noise adds on top of that? We have more electronics, changes the game. You start seeing a lot more people using it. And then we get the downside up. We had the uniform changes, and like they just kept going. They just keep going. That guy then Keytar out there on the field, rocking it out, and these crazy color combinations, and just they're one of my favorite corps to see rise to the top because they changed so much of the activity from where we just saw on. You know, that's what's so cool about them.
I'm thinking Metropolis.
And you could probably go back a little bit further when you start talking about Metropolis, the Boxer, Imagine. Like, I remember those shows because I would go back and watch them, and I'm like, man, these were some good shows too. And they were still, they were still innovative. For them, it just was. They kind of reminded me, those shows, kind of looking back on it, kind of reminded me of Boston when they started to get hot. Very accessible shows that they played well, that the crowd can buy into, but just a little less mature, a little less artistic than what was happening in the top 3 or 4. And when they took that leap of faith with Tilt and got rewarded for it, there was like, oh, well, here we are. This is how we're going to do. So,
yeah.
Like I said, I forgot.
But no, that's one of my favorites. I absolutely.
Yep.
If I thought I could do that with a marching band group, I would.
I know that
we were all quiet.
So far. Yeah, I was like,
I want to enjoy the show.
So good, man.
I'd love to be able to go back and relive that finals run of that.
Yeah, it's
just
it was good. I think we were
at the top because if it was a Tesla gear, I have a photo.
Or that might have been one of the shows we said towards the middle. I don't know.
So, and they still played all the way up there, and we heard it. So that tells you something.
So
yeah.
Yeah. But
you're welcome.
Definitely one of my faves of all time. So nice pick, Zach.
So whose turn is going to be next?
You did good.
Stay tuned and find out from On the Back Hash Reacts episode 3.
Will, do you want to go next or mine?
I can go last.
So you said you were going to go last? Is that what you said?
I'm sure you will.
Here it comes.
I'm going to try to find something a little different. Well, guys, if you liked what you saw and heard, let us know, what did you think about Kinetic Noise and the Bluecoats and their particular show? Let us know in the comments. And if you have any suggestions of who else we should do a react video on, let us know in the comments as well. You can find us on all social media outlets: Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and we're on Anchor.fm and Spotify for your podcast needs. So for Will, for Chris, for Zach, my name is Cedric. This has been On the Back Hash React.